Have you ever been to a zoo and observed a giraffe and its long neck? Why it has a long neck? You can find the answer to this here. You know, variation is the difference in the characters of offspring compared to their parents and can be acquired or inherited. The gradual change that occurs in organisms as a slow and continuous process is known as evolution. I am Bindu, and in this video we'll introduce the topic evolutionary theories from the lesson Heredity and Evolution from class 10th Biology. Variations develop during reproduction in organisms. Sexual reproduction and DNA copying errors lead to offspring variations in a population. The formation of new species due to changes in specific characters over several generations as a response to natural selection is called evolution. The natural changes occurring are explained through the theories of evolution proposed by Lamarck and Darwin. Learning outcomes. After studying this topic, you will be knowing about variations in beetle population, acquired and inherited characters, and evolution. Lamarckism. Darwinism. Keywords: variations, evolution, beetles, genetic drift, Lamarckism, Darwinism, natural selection. Let us see the concept map on evolution. Variations in beetle population. Let us try to study the consequences of variations in the insect population. Consider a group of 12 beetles living in bushes on green leaves. Their population will grow by sexual reproduction and generate variations in population. crows eat red beetles. And their population is slowly reduced. A color variation arises during reproduction, resulting in green-colored beetles. Moreover, this green-colored beetle passes its color to its offspring, and all progeny appear green. Crows cannot see the green-colored beetles on the green leaves of the bushes, and therefore crows cannot eat them. But crows can see the red beetles and eat them. As a result, there are more and more green beetles than red ones, which are reduced in their number. The variation of green color gave a survival advantage to green beetles over red beetles. In other words, it was naturally selected and was exerted by the crows. The crows eat more red beetles, and the number of green beetles in the population world increases. Thus, natural selection is directing evolution in the beetle population. It results in adaptation in the beetle population to fit in their environment better. In another situation, a color variation occurs again in the progeny, resulting in blue-colored beetles instead of red beetles. The blue color can be passed to all progeny. Crows can see blue-colored and also red beetles on the green leaves. Therefore, crows can eat both red and blue-colored beetles. In this case, there is no survival advantage for blue-colored beetles like green-colored beetles. In a scenario, there are a few blue beetles and more red beetles in the initial population. At this time, an elephant damages the bushes with the beetles and kills most of the beetles. By chance, only a few blue beetles survived, and the blue beetle population slowly increases. Thus, sometimes changes in certain characteristics of the population may result accidentally. Characters are governed by genes, and there is a change in the frequency of genes in small populations. This is known as genetic drift, and it provides diversity in the population. In another case, the beetle population is increasing, but suddenly bushes were affected by a plant disease and the beetles got less food material. So, beetles are poorly nourished and the weight of beetles decreases. Still, no changes takes place in their genetic material, DNA. After some time, the plant disease is eliminated and bushes are healthy with plenty of leaves, also restoring the healthy beetle population. Acquired and inherited characters and evolution. The germ cells are found in reproductive tissue. If the weight of the beetles is reduced because of starvation, that will not change the DNA of the germ cells. The low weight is not an inheritable trait in the progeny. Even if some generations of beetles lose their weight because of starvation, that is not an example of evolution, since the change is not inherited over generations. Change in non-reproductive tissues cannot be passed on to the DNA of the germ cells. Therefore, the experiences of an individual during their lifetime cannot be passed on to progeny and cannot direct evolution. Lamarckism. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck was the first person to propose the theory of evolution. He thought that at some point of time in history, the size of a giraffe was equal to that of deer. A shortage of food material on the ground and to reach the lower branches of trees. Giraffes started stretching their necks. Due to the continuous stretching of the neck, after several generations, giraffes developed long necks. Such characters that are developed during the lifetime of an organism are called acquired characters. Lamarck proposed that these acquired characters are passed on to offspring in the next generation. Lamarck proposed the theory of inheritance of acquired characters. For example, the elongation of the neck and forelimbs in giraffes. But Augustus Weismann tested this theory through an experiment on rats. He removed the tails of parental rats and observed that their offspring are normal with tails. He repeated the experiment for 22 generations. But still, offspring were normal with tails. He proved that bodily changes are not inherited and won't be passed to the offspring. Darwinism. Charles Darwin proposed natural selection, the famous theory of evolution. Charles Darwin was born in England. He went on a voyage for 5 years on HMS Beagle ship. He visited the Galapagos Islands. And observed the flora and fauna and collected many evidences. Darwin observed a small group of related finch birds with diversity in structure in the Galapagos Islands. Darwin was influenced by the book Principles of Geology, written by Sir Charles Lyell. Lyell suggested that geological changes occurred at a uniform rate. But Darwin did not agree with this idea. He felt that large changes occurred due to the accumulation of small changes. Darwin was also influenced by the famous Malthus theory. Written in an essay on the principles of population. Malthus observed that the population grows in geometrical progression, whereas food sources increase in arithmetic progression. Based on these ideas, Darwin proposed the theory of natural selection. It means that nature only selects or decides which organism should survive or perish in nature and is called survival of the fittest. The organisms with useful traits will survive and non-useful traits are going to be perished or be eliminated from their environment. Alfred Russel Wallace also independently concluded that natural selection contributed to the origin of new species. For example, in the case of red beetles eaten by crows, the population gradually got eliminated or perished from the environment. But at the same time, the green beetles present on the green leaves were not noticed by the crows. So, the green beetles survived in the environment and their population has gradually increased due to natural selection. Charles Darwin and Alfred Wallace jointly published an article in the Journal of Linnean Society about natural selection. Only after this, Darwin published his famous book, The Origin of Species, in 1859. Postulates of Darwin's theory. Any group of the population of an organism develops variations, and all members of the group are not identical. Variations are passed from parent to offspring through heredity. By natural selection, the overabundance of offspring leads to a constant struggle for survival in any population. Individuals with variations survive and reproduce, live longer, and have more offspring than organisms with less useful features. As the environment changes, the organism adapts and changes according to the new living conditions. Over a long period, each species of an organism can accumulate so many changes that it becomes a new species, similar but distinctly different from the original species. There are some limitations and objections to Darwin's theory. Many new theories like synthetic theory and mutation theory are put forward.